Hello all, welcome to the Legend of Gaming podcast. I'm Matt.
And you got Cliff.
And today we are going to be talking about fighting games. But before we get into the pelea, let's get into our Cliff Notes. Cliff?
We got 3 good Cliff Notes today. The first one, there was a video for Yu-Gi-Oh! That you were trying to show me. And it was like the trap card, Pot of Greed.
Pot of Greed.
And this is a pretty funny video. You guys definitely need to check it out. You probably already seen it. I know I'm late to the party. But there's a moment where he's just like, he pops out pot of Greed like 3-4 times. And he's just drawing cards like crazy. The other person is just like, this is ridiculous. Like, this card doesn't do this. He's like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. He's like, you probably wasn't expecting this. Pot of Greed. Like, he throws it again. So he really had me rolling. And I can see why that's definitely like your favorite video that lives rent free. That's a really good one. The second one is something that I wanted to mention. I actually forgot about. We were talking about appreciation of like full art cards, and we were talking about Magic the Gathering, of how the artwork looked, and you had mentioned that it was like to Pokemon, their like energy cards don't even like compare. But what I will say is it's really cool that I've actually seen people do their own 3D version of cards. I don't know if you've ever seen them before.
I've seen a handful of them. I've seen people do 3D art with the full illustration art for Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander.
Yes.
Because they're in windowsills
Okay.
in the most recent art. So what they did is they not only took other cards and cut them to make it pop out 3D, but they took elements of like wood and put it in the windowsill, so the windowsill had like actual depth.
You're exactly right. And I think for them to take that time, and it's fan art, but it looks amazing. I definitely think you guys should go check it out. If you have appreciation for Pokemon, getting to see it on cards, I had a new depth of, wow, I would love to play with a deck like this. So, yeah.
Dangerous.
Very dangerous.
I would love to. I'm just like, imagine like one person picks it up to admire it and that card's done.
That's it. And your stacks gotta be crazy, because the thick of the cards, oh man, that's something else.
You're not wearing skinny jeans.
No, absolutely not. Now, the last one was a little bit of a question mark, was how many cards were in the first set of Pokemon? And you had the answer right immediately, but then I found a weird answer, which was a different answer, but they're both right. So the first base set is 102, if I'm not mistaken. And then the first complete set, which I believe actually launched the same year, which was the number you told me, which was 151. So that's the last thing. Definitely want to make sure we got that information out, but that's our Cliff Notes.
Hey, I love it. I love it. It's really interesting that they're like, hey, we're going to drop the base set, get them out, get people interested. If they really like it, then we'll
Here's
drop
the
out the
whole
bangers.
set for you.
Because to be really honest, in the last 40 are a lot of my favorite Pokemon. So
Really?
I'm curious. I'll have to look up why they release them different. That's very cool.
They could have done like a focus group and saw like, okay, these are the ones that people are really catched on. So let's save them for last. That's a possibility.
I love it.
Yeah.
So today, getting into fighting games, there are a
Yes.
few points that we want to cover with particular fighting games, right? So when you look at fighting games, it could be the combos that bring you in. It could be the attraction of the actual fighting. It could be the lack of combos and maybe the ability to just button mash and still be successful. I think for the really serious gamers out there, tournaments might be something that attracts them, being able to actually play, get good enough that you can make money. And then for the casual gamer, I think looking at storylines and like, is this a fighting game with a storyline? Is this a fighting game where we're just beating each other's brains out? Both are okay, right? But both have different rewards.
Yeah.
So today, as we jump in, those are going to be some of the perspectives we're going to look through. Let's hop off the deep end with the best fighting game, in my opinion, biased, unbiased, whatever way you want to look at it, Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, it's gonna be my number one too, and we need to talk about it now.
I will say there's many iterations, right? There's the Smash Brothers that I played on 64. I didn't play Melee.
I didn't play Melee, but I will say right now, there's a lot of people that say that is the backbone to Brawl. So I'm just gonna put that information out there right now, respect to them. I'm not saying that game is bad or anything of the sort. I didn't play it, but they say it was the backbone. So
I heard that Melee itself was more grounded, physically. Characters were heavier, and there was a lot more like fighting and juggling going on.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily juggling, more fighting and ledge guarding, being able to grapple and take advantage of people being able to play the ledges.
Yeah.
Where Brawl, one that I played a lot of time in, so I can absolutely speak to that personally. Brawl was very floaty, and you had the ability to really grow the skill to juggle.
Okay.
Which, in Smash Brothers, if you're not familiar, juggling is the ability to take an opponent, and once they're in the air, not allow them to hit the ground.
Yeah.
To give you perspective, whenever you play Smash, you have the ability to double jump, so you can jump, and then you can jump again. And then most characters have an ability, a B up, or some ability that allows them to ascend even higher, or have a triple jump, or have another evade.
Yes.
If you're really skilled, you have the ability to not only hit people when they're about to do that double jump, but you can really time it well. Maybe do a little fake, right? You get them to do something and they use that double jump, and then you catch them on that descension and you just give them 60, 70, 80% damage, or juggle them to an edge and spike them off.
I'm going to give you a perfect example. Mario, his B up, as you know, he kind of just collects coins from whatever he's hitting, which is you. So pretty vicious, but you can time that really well with getting that juggle and then getting that last hit. It does like almost like a small crit, and it'll send that person flying. So you get your combo in, you can kind of finish off with that. It's a very nice move.
Who is your main?
Kirby.
Ooh.
Kirby every time. If you tell me I'm facing the best of the best, I'm choosing Kirby. If you tell me you want to see some dangerous moves, it's Kirby every time. If you want to see me disrespect someone, it's probably Ink, because he moves so slow when he swings his sword, so you know it's coming, and it's vicious if I hit.
Ink was like my first main I ever used.
Oh yeah, I like it. There we go.
I had friends who played Little Mac.
Oh, okay.
And there was a point where like I had not played Smash Brothers for so many years, so I really didn't have the skill of dodging or doing like those little back steps where people go to grab you and they just kind of like stand there for a moment. You can
do
counter.
Your bubble and like do
and
your roll.
I think Brawl really was the game where it gave you layers. You could be really good at timing your bubble or back steps, those dodges.
Yeah,
but also like Ike had a counter. His B down was a counter where he'd put his sword out. So if you weren't necessarily good at timing the bubble, you could practice the counter where you would just time it when someone's hitting you, which I feel like there's a little bit more grace with that.
Yeah.
And that was where I started to get the skill of timing in Smash Brothers in particular, because if we look at those perspectives, right, combos or button mashing, you can do both.
Yeah, for sure.
You literally, there's characters that can do both. But with the perfect timing, with the good combos, right? With Mario, you might do the spin where he's like, woo, 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 and you throw them. You know their cadence, so you know as soon as you throw them, they're going to jump and jump. They're going to knock out that double jump. So you throw them. Yeah. They jump. You do an uppercut, knock the coins out of them. If you're really good, you land. You knock the coins out of them again. Now you're just demoralizing them. You know what I mean? Maybe jump up, kick them into the ground once, and it's just kind of funny. You've got the layers of skill. Yeah,
for sure. And I think the set of characters, there's so many different like play styles you can kind of have. Like I know, since I mentioned Kirby has such a resistance to be put off the map from most characters. You could really get like the damage output on Kirby pretty high, and Kirby can always kind of float right back. So it got to a point where if someone's really not getting in good hits on you, you can really stay on the map for a while. So I like Kirby just for sheer resistance. And then even like Kirby's B down turned into like almost like a cinder like block.
Yeah, you just turn into a little
big
block
brick
that crushes people.
And the moment you make
or
contact,
the 10-ton metal, because sometimes it changes into the metal thing too.
Yeah, and you can catch them just right on the corner. That's all it takes, and they'll go flying. That was always a fun move. Even the fact that like Kirby could take other people's like abilities, that made it where it was very versatile. Even though it was just a B, and a lot of times it wasn't like overpowering. It was definitely a nice move to have. So that's why I love Kirby.
It's a little flex. I know my
Yeah.
character and yours. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's very true.
When I look at Brawl's roster,
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really heavy on Meta Knight, and I was really heavy on Wolf.
On Wolf,
Wolf was
Wolf
one of
is a
those,
serious
like,
one.
he had a weird X move where his dash did like a weird swipe. So, like, he took skill to get good enough that you
Yeah.
could, like, beat people with their good characters. You know,
Yeah.
I think the moment of, okay, I know this character well enough is that friend that only plays Little Mac.
yeah,
You can beat him with any variety of characters,
Yeah.
right? It's like, okay, I remember practicing Link. I did
Link's
not like
mean.
Link. I did not like Link, but I just thought, the bombs,
yeah.
the range with the little grab. Honestly,
Yeah.
I like the yeah. I just want to.
nailed
I just
that.
want to.
That was awesome.
I want to cut somebody. It's the inner rage.
Yeah, he has a really like balanced kit.
And my wife's name is Ruby, so I
That makes
can't
sense.
not like Jules.
Yeah, that's very true.
What about Super Smash Brothers Ultimate? We talk about Melee. 64. 64 had the smallest roster, but before we get into Ultimate, because I think
Yeah.
that's gonna get off the rails now that I think about it. I think 64 had the most equal playing ground for each character. They all
Yeah.
had something that made them exceptional, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that.
Link, if you were really good with that sword and bombs, he was a real menace to deal with.
Yeah,
Kirby still had that jump,
Mhm.
still had the ability to eat. Actually, that spit ability really did some damage. You could shoot people out far.
in the wrong direction too.
Yeah,
you can
and
really
you had
mess
the
them up.
sword. And you have the sword where you're coming down smashing from the sky.
Yeah, the sword is a very nice, and the moment you make impact, how it follows along. So even if you don't land directly on the person, you can get someone in front of you. Very nice kit. I love Kirby.
I will always be a Luigi man.
Okay.
Luigi's definitely got better as the games went on,
Yeah.
but I would say what made him pretty good there was his fireballs.
Okay.
They're a good distance. If you were good at getting people in your melee range and fighting,
hmm
he is a good character because the fireballs kind of made them. You have to come closer,
Gotcha.
and if you could handle them up close, he was good. If you were good at throws and you're good at using your bubble, you could really put damage on people.
Okay. I
More
like
than
that.
Mario, in my opinion, because I wasn't really a big Mario guy in Smash.
No, I liked the a lot of his like grabs and a lot of his slides. They look very fluid. So I definitely like this kit on that. What did you think of like the boss being the hand?
Oh, dude,
Like in
the hand was
64, like,
menacing, to be
he's
honest.
absolutely menacing.
And I think it's crazy for like it just being a big Disney-esque gloved hand.
That's it.
It really scared me. It popping up, I knew I was gonna get smashed, and I was generally just hoping I could beat it on the first try.
Yeah.
I think that's the catch of a fighting game when you're not versing another person is I don't want to lose to the computer.
Yeah.
I could just sit here and play this 100 times and win. That's not what makes you good.
Right.
I don't want to lose, not even once, if I feel I'm good with the character.
Exactly.
So that hand was really a humbling moment in some games that I realized I'm like, okay, I can't really land a combo that does a few hits.
Yeah.
This
Because
is going to be strenuous.
the hand's going off the map too. There's times you can't see it. There's moments that I think there was the part that always messed me up is it actually points and makes a gun figure and it kind of floats within an area and it follows you. But depending on how you jump, you can actually mess up your whole area of the area that you're in. So for example, to kind of explain a little bit more, let's say I'm playing a character and I'm jumping right in the mid range. If it's staying in that mid range and it shoots, I don't really have a lot of space to go up. I'd have no space to go down. So I think I love that you said humbling because that was a fight that I will like always remember.
Yeah, I
Just
mean, we didn't
always.
have Elden Ring when
No,
we were kids, so I think the learning lesson of rolling forward
Mhm.
or rolling in a different direction or like learning move sets was this.
Yeah.
You're used to jumping all the time. I play against my friend, I jump. He can't really hit me because he doesn't have good hand-eye coordination or game skill.
right.
That
Exactly.
hand is like, keep jumping, play up. I am going to get this, and the next 3 hits are going to knock you off the map
Yeah.
because it literally picks up your little cadences. I don't want to say your algorithm, but it picks up your habits very quickly. And I think that's something I really actually appreciate about the Big Glove.
Mhm.
I've been smashed many a time. I will say there's one character I never lose to the glove with, though.
Who?
Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Yoshi has so much upward mobility. He's got
that's
that
true.
jump. What makes him so useful is if you get good with your bee, your little egg throw,
Yeah.
you can really toss that egg and just put a little 10% on him over and over and
Get
over
that
the whole time.
extra damage in.
Yeah, and your kick does a lot. So your jump, you have a and you land a bunch of kicks when you do that too. So like, whenever we talk about the hand and it being up in the air, it's hard with a Luigi who has an uppercut that has a singular hit that's supposed to knock people off.
To try to land anything.
It doesn't really do a ton of damage. You need to do the death by 1,000 cuts. You need to just chip away at this hand until it's toast. You're not gonna get a big knockoff like you would countering a person and landing a perfect time B up.
Right. Exactly.
And in perspective of that one, the Mario B up is like a soft 5 hit. It goes bing, 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 and knocks coins out of people.
Yeah.
And then they fall to the ground. Luigi's has a smaller hitbox, and if you hit B up and you land it, it does a baseball home run sound, and will just launch them straight off the map. So, when it comes to character design, some characters are a lot more skilled to use because they have a smaller hitbox. Their attacks maybe only land once, but if you've got the timing down, you're smoking people.
Oh, absolutely. And I know we haven't mentioned this, but items. I know items make the game a little bit more chaotic. It gives it a little bit of an edge. What do you think about the items? I've always had fun with them, and I've noticed later on, depending on how serious we get, we do it with no items.
That's it. You
Yeah.
just named it. I think it comes down to the group you're playing with and like what's the goal?
Yeah.
If the goal is to sit and for us to have fun, dude, put on some Pokeballs, put on some of those mystery characters.
Yeah, for sure.
Put on some of those, just random ones. Maybe like a bumper coin that you throw in, it just makes the edge of the map a bumper.
Yeah.
So they can't land it. Like, that is fun. I do not think that if you beat me with items on, that means you're more skilled than me.
Yeah, exactly.
We're having fun, and at the end of the day, I can take those L's all day. But if we're talking bragging rights, let's do a 3 or a 5 stock.
Yeah,
No time limit, no items. Like, I want you to catch these hands on an Omega level.
that's it.
I don't want there to be any moving parts or you getting knocked off the map because we went from a racetrack to a floating map. No, I want to kick your literal face straight off the map and then look at you in real life and be like, did I do that?
Exactly. I could see it. And it's one of those, like, I don't want you at any moment saying, oh, that item helped me out. Or, oh, no. This butt kicking was meant for you and it happened for you.
And to be honest, the items do help out that much. So like that is
Yeah.
it. Like I've played ones where my favorite, the little pink blaster.
Oh, that
And
one's
if
good.
you just have good timing and cadence, what did we just talk about? Catching somebody when they've used up all their jumps, and that is the most demoralizing death.
It really is.
You land it and you're going, goof, 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 and it's giving them a little air, but they're just coming back and landing on it, and they're slowly going further and further off the map, and they know they don't have a jump, and they know when this stops, they're just going to fall into the abyss. And you're just kind of like, oh, oops, didn't mean to land that 7 times in a row, even though all 7 lands were intentional, and you're just demoralizing your opponent.
Completely intentional. And they're so far away from grabbing that edge.
And it's always the Star Fox map where I'm on that dang ship.
Oh, man. That ship, I think I have more funny and bad memories than good. Just like playing good. That one's just a really tricky map. And I think that's where my family definitely taught me a lot of lessons of getting a beat down.
My scars all came from Hyrule Castle
Hyrule Castle. Oh, yeah.
with the tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend just stabbing me in the neck as Link over and over, and I'm just like, please,
Let me
I don't even like this game anymore. And then years later, now I'm like, okay, I see the way. You have to feel the pain, and you have to be broken.
You have to.
before you can rise from the ashes. And Smash Brothers.
Absolutely. Everyone was a bad player before they were a good player. For Brawl.
Yeah,
And-
well, I'll tell you,
and
I
all of
didn't
them, actually.
really play seriously until I was 22 and lived with a bunch of dudes that played when they were kids. And
Oh,
no one
okay.
took mercy on me. So I did not see a win. One win, not one win,
Yeah.
for maybe 3 months.
Oh,
Playing every day.
man.
Playing every single day, every night with the boys, at least 3 games, like minimum 3, probably more. I never saw a win.
That's
for
tough.
Oh, dude, there was
That's tough.
spiritual awakenings with me. I went up. I had to go out in the woods. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I had to reassess.
Brought the controller on out.
Yeah, I had to light incense around it. No, but really, what actually, all jokes aside, what it really made me realize is there's layers to games.
Mm-hmm.
Skill sometimes is exposure. I played it since I was 10. I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes to get to that next level, you just have to practice,
That's
or you
true.
have to play against someone on that level. And Smash Brothers is one we've talked so much about, the combos and the button mashing, but really, tournament level people who play Smash Brothers are a different breed.
They are. And I'll tell you right now, let's just start off. Of course, and I have to mention it, this is such a legendary thing. Of the Wombo combo.
Tell me about the Wombo.
No. Do you know about the Wombo
I
combo?
don't think I know. About the
Oh
Wombo
my
combo.
goodness. So there's a video. It should be on the original Super Smash. And it's a clip of 2 people fighting. It was like a team of 4. They're doing a team fight, and potentially they're finishing off the last person. And they toss the person back to each other, back and forth, and they're saying, happy feet, wombo combo, car zoom, and it's just like a crazy name of words, but you see them tossing the person back and forth. And this was like the first time anyone's seen juggling with a teammate, and it was just like they didn't have a second. They didn't have 1 second to breathe, and they sent them so far off the map. This is such a legendary thing. This is the first thing I'm going to show you right after this.
It's the first clip of not only juggling, but a man losing his just spirit.
Yeah,
in front of people.
it's bad. It's bad. And so Wombo combo is something that always stick with me. I think with this game too, even though there's so many different skills, challenges, I think there's a lot of fun with it too, of course. I don't know if you've ever put the lives on 99 and just win at it all day, which is a fun thing. Or having it where you try to get 900 damage on someone, which of course you're kicking each other around immediately. So I mean, there's just so much fun with these games. And one thing I also want to mention is the storyline. Brawl has a really good storyline.
Yeah, it does.
I just, I always picture fighting games always coming across a challenge of telling a good story, because a lot of times it's just a platform. But I will say they do this one really well. Do you remember what the intro was? If you don't, I gotcha.
They were in a stadium
You got it. Mm-hmm.
fighting in a tournament,
Yes.
and I don't recall if Bowser showed up with Meta Knight or if it was
You're
I
spot on.
just remember a black plague of amalgamation of a mist
Yeah.
and bad boys.
Yes.
Showing
You're
up.
spot on. So it was Mario and Kirby fighting. Shout out to Kirby. And it's Peach and Zelda watching the fight, and you choose who you want to play, which is actually pretty fun. And as you go along, one person wins the fight. All of a sudden, just like you said, Bowser shows up with Meta Knight, and they go into full attack. They send minions down, you're fighting them, and all of a sudden they beat Mario. Mario gets sent away. You have it where Kirby's trying to defend the girls. The girls are fighting as well. Peach gets hit and then turned back into, which is almost like a trophy.
Oh my god, yeah.
It turned into
'Cause
an
that's how you unlock
icon piece,
characters.
and that's exactly how you unlock characters. So it's just a really cool way of how they played it out, where it's as you get these icons, you unlock the character, but you're playing that storyline of that moment when they were not frozen like a statue. So really cool. And I think for that one, the hand is in it as well, but it's not the main boss. It's almost like this computer AI looking thing. I can't remember the exact name. I'll hit you guys with that later. But definitely a really good storyline.
I mean, I would much rather play through a storyline than, you know what? You need to play 100 more matches and then that challenger approach. And then another 100, which that is for people who do not play the storyline, how you unlock all the characters.
Right.
It's based on amount of wins. I would rather play through a storyline because I'll be real. I've not played it since I played it on Wii. And I remember that.
Yeah.
And I do remember playing through levels and being like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool because you can build your own roster. Not only to beat the game, but like if I saw a character and I could play them, I knew that would add that to my outside Smash list too.
Yes.
So like it really put, not only do I want to play through the story is pretty engaging, but it was like actually rewarding. I get these characters right now and can go, start playing. So I love that.
Even the last part that comes back to me is I know Pit was watching the fight from like in the heavens, if I'm not mistaken, and just like how Mario got sent far away, he actually landed in the heavens, like in the clouds. He's like Pit saw him in the distance and actually helped him come back. So it was really like very well planned out storyline, and for that time for them to be doing something like that, it was really cool. I definitely loved it.
I totally agree. I don't think I've seen a mini characters from different franchises.
Yeah.
Or different actual video games that could be pulled off successfully.
Yeah.
There are the Marvel versus Capcoms out there. There are games where X-Men are fighting other people too, right? Like those things
they do
exist.
their merges. Absolutely.
But I would say the big difference when you look at the storyline opposed to that storyline, Marvel vs. Capcom has style.
Yeah.
Where
it definitely does.
When you look at Smash Brothers, they have style, but they've got depth. Each character has its own backstory. This is another story where not only are you making your own story from it, you're invested in the characters.
You are.
I want to beat Bowser, the bricks off Bowser. I want to save Princess Peach. I want to help Kirby. I want to hang out with Icarus. I want to, it's like, I like all of that.
Why does Mr. Game & Watch move like that? I just want to see him move like that.
I want to see him cook a couple more chicken fish fillets and throw them in the air.
Absolutely. The one I want to say, the one last thing I want to mention is, since we were talking about characters, I love that you brought up how they're able to tie in so many characters. And I looked at Ultimate. I know we haven't talked too much about it, but they have a lot of characters that they brought in that I never thought they would. One of the last characters they brought in, and I wish they brought them in sooner because I'd definitely be playing it as we speak, is Sora from Kingdom Hearts. And the idea of Sora being in it is crazy to me. But I see Sora fitting in that field. And I think it's just so amazing that Brawl has made a platform where there's just so many different characters that are able to just be in there and it feels like it's right.
No, I totally agree. I think whenever, I got into playing Brawl, I was like, wow, this is a lot of characters.
Yeah.
When Ultimate came out, I was really, really blown away because not only was it a lot of characters, but like Banjo-Kazooie being brought in. Wild.
Yeah.
Like just unexpected. For me, if I'm talking characters I really like to like get serious with, Ken, Sephiroth, or Terry. I like engaging on all three of those. So like I can definitely say when you look at a base game, all the games have great base characters. I definitely think Ultimate went a step further.
Yeah.
And like getting characters that people were like, oh,
there's
I
no
actually
way.
Can't believe you did this. Like Cloud being in it off the bat was wild. To get Sephiroth, crazy.
Very crazy.
So I can definitely give it that. Why Sora though?
Once I think Sora just has just such a good story of like the gaming of Sora. And I know when it comes down to like our RPG episode, I don't believe we mentioned Kingdom Hearts, but Kingdom Hearts is the whole, not trilogy, but the whole collection is something golden. So seeing Sora come in, and they'd even really if you watch the trailer, they start off with just having Sora almost having like a Disney entrance, like Pixie does, kind of just flying in, and they're just all watching like, oh, it's Sora. Like it was a very nice feeling.
Yeah, you got to do justice. You got to do justice to the IP, and Disney is magical, so he's coming in magical before he beats
really
the bricks
did.
off people.
He really did. And I have to mention his ultimate is very clean. I don't know if you've seen it.
Tell you what.
So you know how like Mickey goes behind the door in, I believe, the second one of Kingdom Hearts?
Mm-hmm.
So he actually forces you behind the door. He takes his key, jams it into the door, locks it, and the whole door explodes.
That's pretty sweet.
It's really sweet.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Have you played any games outside of Super Smash Brothers
Mm-hmm.
that have ultimates and items?
Ultimates and items. Well, I would say Multiverse. Multiverse was fairly new, and I believe they're actually looking at possibly closing the servers, which is a little bit unfortunate. Multiverse has it where there are a few items you can grab, and to kind of give an idea what Multiverse is, because you guys are like, what is this? It is like Warner Brothers version of Smash, and potentially they took a lot of characters from like Warner Brothers, of course, so you can get like Batman, Superman, stuff like that. And they also took characters from like Cartoon Network, which I thought was really cool because you can play like Finn, Jake the dog. You can play the banana like Guardian that's in. That's just like ridiculous. I love that they threw him in. So, but they have a really nice roster, and I think that if that game came out around the time that Smash or maybe Brawl came out, I think it would have a very solid platform for itself.
Did it come out years later?
It came out, I think it's only a year and a half old, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, from right now.
Yeah, so like Multiverse is like really like fresh.
So I understand. So
Yeah.
really what is hurting it is there's already a monolith that exists.
Exactly.
And it's like, what would bring me to this from my baby Super Smash Brothers?
When I have Smash Ultimate and I can play over like 50 characters, yeah. I wish they came out around that time because I think they definitely would have had a very solid like foundation, and we wouldn't be looking at the situation where I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll double check, that they are closing these servers. So
We should definitely check that. I will tell you, there's been other games that have been Smash Brothers coded,
okay.
but had its own player base that like actually were loyal. Have you ever heard of Power Stone?
No, tell me about
So
it.
Power Stone and Power Stone 2
Mhm.
are two platformers
Okay.
that you pick up to 4 people to fight, and you fight in an arena. So let's say we start an arena and it's at the bottom of an elevator shaft. Okay? Like, just give you perspective. We're in a
Okay.
room and there's clearly an elevator. Big elevator.
Mhm.
We would be fighting, and there'd be items that pop up around and you could pick them up. So like I could pick up a spray and it turns you to stone.
Mm.
And that gives me the ability to put extra damage on you, or, right, I can beat up the other people that are in this match with us.
Yeah.
As I punch you, I will knock power stones out of you, or I can get those from boxes. And once you get 3 power stones, you turn Super Saiyan if you're one character. You turn into a rock
Okay.
thing if you're another character. You turn into a flying, flying dinosaur if you're one of the characters. So each character has an extra transformation
Yeah.
with abilities. What made this game so cool is there were bosses as we played. So as that elevator comes down, once it gets to the floor, there's a boss on that elevator that's just trying to kill all of us. So if
Okay.
you and I choose not to fight each other and choose to kill the boss, we can kill the boss, ride the elevator to the top, and win.
Nice. Okay, I like that.
Just an element that, like, it's so different. Because you look at Smash Brothers, there's one winner.
Mm.
Whoever smashes everyone off of the map is the winner.
Yeah.
For Power Stone, I could kill you. We could not even make it up the elevator shaft. I could have killed you at the bottom, and then we don't even follow the storyline. But if you follow the whole map, everyone can potentially win.
That's really cool.
No one ever does, because we're going to kill somebody, 1 or 2. But if you and
Yeah.
I are friends, I don't mind, calling a truce once we kill everybody.
Absolutely. We'll take them out real quick.
Pretty cool. Definitely check out Power
That's cool.
Stone. I think that whenever you look at Super Smash Brothers, I think that is really that monolith. Yeah. Multiversus is out.
Mhm.
It is a good game. I've actually seen clips, so I'm not going to dog on it. But again, trying to hedge that space, not everyone can be a Marvel Rivals in an Overwatch world,
Exactly. Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers is really good about protecting their property. What did you just say? You're like, whoa, man, when Sora came out?
Yeah.
Pause.
It just,
like, man, that's
it
impressive.
threw me. It really threw me. And I was just... to give me that feeling, you can tell that they're still putting out characters that are grappling their audience back in, if they're playing it or not. So I think that's the issue.
And that's where I could see multiverses having a difficulty. How are you going to overcome that? You may not be able to.
Yeah.
You might need to go down another route where this is a part of your game that people can enjoy, but maybe there's a better storyline. Maybe there's a different path. Maybe there's a different complete type of game that's not just a brawler.
Yeah. Now, I will say one thing that I want to give them a commend for is that they did make it free. So it was a free to play game just right off the bat. Anyone can jump into it. So definitely want to give them a shout out for that part. But if anything, I just wish it came out sooner. Because, I mean, playing Bugs Bunny and even Jake the dog, he kind of has similar traits to, like, Kirby. So you have, like, these similar feelings when you play it. So it's very enjoyable. But I just think it was just the timing. Some games, just the timing gets them. So
easy to find a home.
Yeah.
Easy to find a home if you're looking for it, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is nobody's looking for that home.
No one's looking for that home at the moment.
So, when you look at fighters, I love the Smash Brothers. I love the multiverses. I love the Power Stones. I love the, a little more fun-oriented brawler, has items. Everyone's kind of duking it out. Before we get into the serious, one-on-one platformer games, 2D, you're watching them on one stage.
Yeah.
You were showing me some clips from a game earlier. And when we did the sports episode, I thought it was so important for us to pause and talk about NBA Street and NFL Street, because I think there was a point in time where those type of games were just running rampant.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Can you fill me in on the fighting version?
I mean, man, Def Jam Fight for New York. And I tell you, if you have never heard of this game, what I want you to do is to look up the intros for all the characters, sit back, try to drink some water, and not spit on your computer.
Sean Paul's is absolutely... It's ludicrous, and not Ludacris's intro. It's ludicrous in itself.
Ludacris is also in the game, people. So to kind of give you an idea, picture the most famous rappers and anyone associated with rapping. They are all in a fist fight for New York, and their intros are pieces of what they say in their songs, and their disses that they say in their songs are what they say to you when they win. That is the cleanest way I can say it without saying any of them. And I'll tell you right now, when you see Waka Flocka Flame kicking your butt, or you see Sean Paul going crazy on you, or if you see, oh man,
Danny Trejo, which I don't even get where Danny Trejo.
I don't know why he was in. I don't know why he's in that. Or
Bone Crusher.
I believe Bone Crusher's in there.
Bone Crusher was the one that did the jumping and it paused while he was throwing his weight around.
Oh yeah.
And then he not only crushed them once, then he turned them over and jumped on them again, and it went, huh!
That's it. He's just jumping on people. And I think the crazy part of it too is that the boss of the game, because there is a storyline to this, you're actually trying to defeat Snoop.
Oh.
You're trying to
Snoopy Dizzle.
You're trying to take down Snoop Dogg because he's running the city.
I mean,
and his voice acting is crazy. I'm talking, everything's just so spot on. And I'm glad that I got to show you a little bit, because I tell you, when I looked this up, I was like, man, I remember this game. I can't remember exactly what it was. And it took me a little minute to find it, but the moment I did, I'm telling you, I couldn't stop laughing. I watched the whole video.
I will tell you, I think that that's a game that we could sit down on like a barbecue day. And that might be one that we just have to throw in a couple rounds and just have a couple laughs.
It's just funny. And I will say the mechanics to it, all jokes aside from, well, actually not completely to the side, but the mechanics were actually pretty smooth for the most part. And the fact that you actually had this ability to get like your super, and this caused you to do like these flurry of moves that were very unique to each character. And they were also slightly awkward. They were like positions you would never see any human like normally hold someone in.
Like a pile driver where you're holding a human against your back.
Against
with your arms
back.
behind you. It made no sense how you'd be physically strong enough to do that.
Oh my god, he's been doing calisthenics since he was 5. There's just no way. But I think the game's really fun. There's even I believe, if I remember correctly, there's an element to where you're fighting at certain places, and if you lose, then you'll wind up like losing your girl as well. There's just like craziness to it. Yeah, like there's craziness to it. And you go through the game, and potentially you're fighting your way through New York. You have it where you have like this flip phone, and they even have advertisement for like T-Mobile, just to kind of show you how like in depth they went with this game. Which is just crazy to see. But there's moments like, let's say when you're fighting Sean Paul, after you beat him, he sends you a voice memo of how he says you got lucky, he's gonna bury you 6 feet deep. And I'm not gonna even do the accent, but I'm telling you right now, you need to look this up. It's good.
I can tell you it's not good.
It's so bad it's good. It's just all of it. So I'm telling you, if you want a good time, just a good laugh of like a lot of like old rappers that you used to see, stuff like that, and see them like fight each other, it's the game.
What's the name one more time?
Def Jam Fight for New York.
You heard it here.
Yeah, check it out. Oh man, even if you don't get to play it, just watch some of the intros. You'll get a good laugh.
I can concur. You will.
Yeah.
You will. Now, that game, the reason I bring it up is it is fun.
Yeah.
But that is one of the more traditional one-on-one, 2 people on the screen, one on the left side, one on the right side. We're gonna duke it out. And
exactly.
Someone at some point can get a finisher. You can finish them off. Now, I'd mentioned Power Stone. That was a Dreamcast game, and I'd played Virtua Fighter a lot. And Virtua Fighter was more of a button smasher.
Yeah, you were showing me a little bit.
That had counters built in.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, there was a lot of XXX triangle. You throw 2-3 punches and then a completing combo like finisher. But the other person could hit circle back, and that might make them step to the side, and they can counter you. They could grab you. They could slam you. They could hit you with their own combo.
Get that disruption too. Okay.
That type of fighting in Virtua Fighter is what attracted me to Tekken.
Okay.
So, for all you people out there that want to know about Virtua Fighter, it isn't very popular anymore. So, look it up. You can see the iterations that exist. Tekken was the IP that I really ended up diving deep into because it had both. Okay. It had the button smashing. It had the great combos if you knew characters, and it had a nice in-between where blocking was made really easy. You just hit no buttons.
Oh, really?
If you just don't move,
passively
if you're
blocking?
not going forward or you're not going backwards, you're not making bad decisions, you're blocking. Now, if you're not moving, I can grab you very easy. So, again, you can't just get lazy and not, but I tend to struggle whenever there were games that had offensive and defensive buttons. Okay. Fighting is these combos, and you have to hit this button to block. That's where the layers for Smash Brothers came in. It took me a long time to get to a place where shield blocking I was good at.
Yeah.
Tekken, I was really observant in the fact that you have lots of characters to pick from. So if you're going to pick Hwoarang, who's all kicks, I'm going to pick Paul because I can charge up a punch and knock 70% of your health off while you're coming at me with those little kicks.
Gotcha.
I can pick a Jack and I can jump and smash you. But again, it was like options. I didn't get stuck just getting my ass kicked. I can actually go and like pick someone, even if it's a bear, Kuma, and I sit on the ground and I just swipe my claws. That might be a way that I beat a character who's really short.
Yeah.
Or keeps landing low kicks. Or they have really good combos where like King, he can grab me and then just lay on top of me and take 80% of my health with grabs.
Right.
Tekken was that first exposure to competitive fighting games.
Yeah.
That storyline existed. Heihachi, always trying to screw over his kids, his grandkid, Jin, and his child, Kazuya. But really, we're there to exchange hands. I'm here to beat the bricks off you. You're here to beat the bricks off me. Story mode is its own thing. I can tell you I bought multiple Tekkens, loaded it, and went straight to Versus.
Wow.
Plugged in a remote and went straight to Versus. Like, the attraction of that game was not the story mode. It was the characters.
Yeah. And I think that's, it just speaks to character design. I think you have to make someone that's really appealing, someone that you're going to want to keep playing. And I think with this being such a competitive, to having that appeal as well, it's very important.
Did you play a lot of Tekken?
I was bad at Tekken, so I didn't.
What did you think of that video I showed you before you
That
started
was
recording
clean.
today?
Oh man. Just to give a description, I mean, the cast of like Nightshade he had, and he was doing his like 1-2 bounce as if he, you know, he was doing some jump rope earlier. He was doing his 1-2 bounce, like that boxer movement, and it was, man, I could tell you, seeing that, if I was exposed to that a long time ago, I could see me playing Tekken a lot more.
Yeah, we literally watched it. It was like an action movie. You know, you have a guy jump through glass, and you have one dude shooting up like a SWAT team.
Yeah.
You have Nina in her little sexy outfit, and I'm like, Nina, chill, Nina, chill.
Or
I'm
spaghetti.
10. I'm 10 years old. I can't handle myself, Nina. You know, but you see Jack, you see the little soldiers that were walking around on the ground.
Yeah.
And then when you play them, you know, you have a little context. You said you weren't good at Tekken. Which Tekken did you try?
I believe it was like the 4th one, if I'm not mistaken. 4th or 5th. But I know that when it came down to, it's crazy because like I feel like a Brawl and like Def Jam, I feel like there's only certain like fighting games that I had like a good flow with. There wasn't a lot. I definitely enjoyed fighting games, but when it came to doing combos, stuff like that, I was definitely in my mashing buttons era, and it just wasn't working out for me.
Hey, see, I wish I was friends with you at that time, because Eddie Gordo, that's the button smashing character.
Yeah, okay.
There's a girl that I can't recall her name that is Eddie Gordo's apprentice. I think her name is Christy. I can look that up. She also is a button smashing like wet dream. You smash buttons and you're just landing sick combos. I would tell you Steve Fox, if you were only to do hand to hand, great combos, because he has no kicks. He's a boxer, but his combos are stupid fast. So, you know, those exist. Those definitely exist in the game. I would say where Tekken kind of divided itself off from Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter was the mini games.
Okay.
Tekken always made it a point to have Tekken and this thing. You had story mode. You play through, you fight, you just play the computer. It's really hard and cool. You have versus mode. Everyone knows about versus mode. You versus me. There is a time attack mode where that's basically where you go to train, get better against yourself.
Yeah.
Tekken added a mode called Tekken Force, and it also added bowling. So, you know, when you look at the aggressive part of it, the fighting part, the actual, like, let's get out and brawl, Tekken Force was a great option. Yeah. You could run down, you would get points, you could beat up people, you kind of got depth, and you got to go down different areas. But I would tell you, Tekken Force was kind of cheesy.
Okay.
It definitely was not polished, but the intent was there. I saw what they were trying to do. They're trying to give you the ability to pick characters you like, get more time in with them. I think where I tended to lead away from Tekken Force and lead into Tekken Bowling is just, if I want to fight, I want to fight you. Yeah. I want to fight a human. I want to fight someone who's skilled, and I felt like I really could just smash the just life out of my controller, and I could win Tekken Force anytime. Tekken Bowling truly took skill, and I felt like it was like the little mini game that took my edge off when losing, but was still competitive enough that it kept me hooked.
I can say from the bowling, seeing it was actually really nice. Even how some characters had it where they had their own special design, that was really cool. I can't remember which one he had it where he could actually see everything as a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a radar.
Yeah,
Jack.
like a radar.
It's
yeah.
the robot guys. They
That was
literally are
really cool.
cyborgs, and they also threw the ball like 90 miles per hour. But that being said, when you look at mini games or you look at side quests in games,
Yeah.
Tekken Force, I feel, had good intent. I feel like Conquest in Mortal Kombat achieved it a little better. You know, Tekken Force was you would play a level, you'd be in a warehouse, you would play to the end, and you'd level up and get some points for your character.
Yeah.
Conquest was Mortal Kombat's story mode, where you would learn about Shao Kahn, or you'd learn about Liu Kang, or you'd learn about Shang Tsung, and you'd go out and you'd learn about them in their realms as you collected points, and it gave you incentive to unlock more characters. So, you know, fighting games, the base fighting game, I think they all have to have their win.
Right.
I think Tekken, it's you could be a button masher, you could be someone who can do combos, you can both have fun. Mortal Kombat, I feel, tended to lend more to people who button mashed.
Okay.
If you were someone who just punched and kicked, you at the beginning would have the little feelings of success.
Yeah.
Once you learned a handful of combos, you learned how to freeze people as Sub-Zero. You learn how to jump backwards as Sub-Zero and leave a silhouette that freezes people. You learn how to pull people as Scorpion, right?
Right.
That's where you immediately hit that little skill ceiling. You're like, oh, I can't just button mash anymore. But say you were a button masher and you really suck at the game and that other person's doing combos on you, the benefit is you get to see sweet fatalities at the end.
You do.
So, you know, it's hard because Tekken or Virtua Fighter or Smash Brothers, KO! Or, you know, you've been knocked out or like you're knocked off the map. Like none of those are fun. Mortal Kombat is a little more for cynical people, right? You got a lot of blood and gore.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think when I lose this fighting game, I get to see this sweet fatality. It sucks that I lost, but it's pretty sweet that I died in a gory, horrific, crazy
way. Yeah.
So, you know, Mortal Kombat really fit a different just genre type for me when it came to fighting.
Yeah.
I've never taken it as serious as a Smash Brothers.
It's crazy that you mentioned that. I think the intensity of the finishers and just the moves, it's really what made the game.
I mean,
it really what made. Don't get me wrong, the characters are made very well, but I think the ending moves, it's just such a eye opener for a lot of them. Such an eye opener where you're like, man, that really happened. That was the ending I got for you. So, I think when it comes to Mortal Kombat, and I know they have there's so many characters that they have, and I know there's like some new ones that they've added in. What are some that you have like a good appeal to?
I mean, the Ninja Turtles. I thought that was pretty cool that they brought the Ninja Turtles. They brought in Freddy Krueger a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was really cool. You know, they brought in the whole DC cast at one point.
I didn't know that. Was it fatalities?
Yes. There was little caveats. So, you know, if you watch Superman, you know that you really can't mess up Superman's S on his chest. So there's little things like that. I don't remember if Superman bled either. But like, yeah, you could beat the bricks off of them, mess up their outfits. You couldn't like rip their spine out. You couldn't do like crazy things.
Yeah.
Some of them it wouldn't let you kill them, but like it's gorier than you'd expect.
Oh wow.
They definitely gave Mortal Kombat
a little wiggle room
to like actually, you know, make it a Mortal Kombat-esque game. You know, would I play Injustice rather than Mortal Kombat versus DC? Probably.
Yeah.
But I definitely, you know, I want to hear what you have to say about Injustice. I think that, you know, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
When you look at Mortal Kombat, the gore, the rawness of the actual like killing is pretty major. I think Conquest was one of the first mini games that they tried their hand at.
Right.
They tried that in Deadly Alliance. That was in like 2002. But the mini game that they really landed on that I loved was their Tetris game that I told you about.
Yeah.
Pods back in Deception. And the reason, it comes back to the same reason I like playing bowling and Tekken. I wanted back in the day for you to come over to my house. We didn't have internet like that. And we'll play fighting games. You can only play for so long before someone's getting tuckered out from losing. Right? That's just really it. Having the Tekken Force mode was not something that you and I would enjoy playing together. So it was a good, little Maddie smoke break for a little 10-year-old me. Oh, I'm stressed. I got to play some Tekken Force. But, whenever your friend's over, that's not the game that you're going to unwind with.
Right. Exactly.
With Mortal Kombat, the fact that they had a Tetris game that's so far gone from fighting, right? Tetris is not beating the crap out of each other. But when you win, you see a fatality. Okay, maybe you've got me intrigued because at this point, okay, I get a break from smashing buttons, give my hands a little rest. I get a little break from you beating the bricks off me, get a little rest. Maybe I'm not having a good combo day. We've all had those days where you're just not playing well, whether it's a shooter, whether it's World of Warcraft, whether it's, The Sims. We've all had days where it's just not going how we expect. So, to be able to play that and get the reward of the gore. I can't really be angry. I can't really be mad at a game for the thing that I'm attracted to is fatalities. Maybe I can't land the fatality. Maybe I can't win. Maybe I'm winning and I can't actually get the button combo off properly. Let's play this Tetris game. Let me pick them. Let me see one or two of their fatalities.
Yeah.
It's just like a nice little roundabout way of winning on two fronts. You're winning because I'm going to show you the cool kills that you're really here for.
Yeah.
But I also going to keep you engaged in my game, and I'm going to get you a little time, a little relief from losing in the fighting, but you're not going to turn the system off. So I think Mortal Kombat, when it comes to the actual fighting, I think they've had it down for years.
Yeah.
Add characters, add layers. I like Rain. I like the pink ninja that you can jump and you turn invisible.
Yeah.
And you can still do damage. That's hard for some people.
Some
people like to play Noob Saibot. They want to be, a smoke version of dead, Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. But I want to be able to have a way to counter. And Mortal Kombat, in some instances, have had too few characters. Nowadays, we're at a point where they're adding third-party characters that aren't even in the Mortal Kombat universe. So we're only going in a direction that's going to be, positive. Is there any character that you had added particular that you were, I guess, surprised by or excited for or brought you back to Mortal Kombat?
I think I was really surprised to see Nolan from Invincible to be in.
I didn't even know he was in it.
No?
That's crazy. No.
Yeah. Oh man, I gotta show you. But if you guys have seen Invincible, I definitely love it. I know Matt loves it too. The moment where he grabs Mark and he brings him to the subway.
That's his finisher or something?
That's his finisher.
Oh my.
So he'll grab you and put you in front of the subway, and you'll just every single person in there.
Okay, so I take it back. Mortal Kombat's still doing it exactly correct.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The subway scene?
The subway scene, that's his finisher. And this is where I can say when Mortal Kombat looks at the characters that they're going third party for, they're looking for other designers that are matching their level of gore and just brutality.
Frank Miller's the guy.
Yeah. All of Invincible it's if I were to picture Invincible having characters that are or designers that came from a previous job, I would believe it's Mortal Kombat.
I mean,
so
absolutely.
But Nolan was definitely the one. I think it was also I think there's one more. It's not coming to mind, but Nolan's definitely the top one.
I mean, there's so many. So that could be a cliff note, right? What are the three characters? Because the reality is Mortal Kombat's dipped their hands in so many different IPs.
Yeah.
They have tons of characters to pick from. Have you played any of the Mortal Kombat games where you were allowed to use weapons or different stances?
No, I haven't.
So Deadly Alliance was one of the first ones that had that. You could pick weapons, you could come out with swords or a different stance. So maybe, you really enjoy Sub-Zero, but you have a friend who has learned to counter Sub-Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? You got 2 other stances. You got different fighting styles that you could verse them with. So,
nice.
Mortal Kombat over the years has found different ways to vary up the fighting and not leave it so two-dimensional. And that was one of the ways I really enjoyed, because Tekken has no weapons.
Yeah.
They don't have different stances. You pick different outfits, different levels, but that's really it, right? Smash Brothers, you can pick different colors, you can pick different items, different levels, but again, when you look at how you're playing that character, it's not very different.
Yeah. Now, I will say one thing that I wanted to mention is the storyline. For me, it's a little hard to follow, so I definitely need to go back and look at it, a few more times. But I will say it's very engaging. It's very engaging on how they throw you into the next fight and how they kind of line up in it. It makes it almost like they merge the cut scenes of the last moment they're talking to that moment that you're facing off to your opponent. And I think that's a really nice skill to have that type of smoothness to it, because it makes it as if you are a part of the movie, which is what we love to have, that immersiveness to it.
I totally agree. I think if you think about any retail company that exists, what do they want to do? They want to cut down perceived wait time.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I don't want you to wait in queue. I don't want you to wait in line. I want you to get the thing you want. Perceived wait time in video games is loading screens.
For sure.
So, I think finding a healthy medium of storytelling where it's like, you about to get whacked. But let me play this video. This cutscene, 45 seconds. Really, it's loading this fight.
Right,
After
exactly.
this cutscene, the immediate end of the cutscene is the fight. I think that does take a very particular skill.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think not everyone does it well.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat being able to do that shows why it's not only one of the monsters, one of the monoliths, right? The Street Fighters, the Tekkens, the Mortal Kombat, they've always been at the top. But it also shows you why it has its own place.
Yeah.
When it comes to weapon fighting, dual stances, you said you hadn't dealt with it in
No, I
Mortal
haven't.
Kombat. Have you played Soul Calibur at all?
I've played Soul Calibur just enough to where I had some fun with a few characters, and that was the main reason I went to it. You could probably guess the characters, to be honest with you. You
played
yeah.
Astaroth?
No. You can. I feel like you can guess guaranteed for one of them.
I don't even know. I'm blanking. Voldo?
The character is Geralt.
Bustamante?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, Geralt. You probably would have had that. If I gave you a little bit more time, you would have had that one. So getting to play Geralt in that setting was really cool, because he has all of his like magical signs that he normally does as a Witcher, and getting to use it in that fashion was really cool. I think also getting to play Darth Vader was awesome. I mean, I can't think of another video game where you're playing Darth Vader in like a fighting sense. I've definitely played different Star Wars games where you play Darth Vader, but it's not in that platform type of like back and forth. So really cool.
I will say that is unique, because Soul Calibur really is like a little bit of a chess fighter.
Yeah.
I might have my guy staying to the left or the right. I might be playing Astaroth with my big axe, and I know you can't get in my range. I think, when you look at the Mortal Kombats, the one thing we didn't bring up is like being able to hit people through walls and change the actual level.
Yeah.
Right? Super cool. Love that. I love that they have different animations, depth that really makes you feel like you're, powerful. And I'm throwing this guy through temple walls and we're fighting in different areas.
Right.
Soul Calibur had out of bounds. It had, you could fall off into water, you could fall off the map, you could fall off a cliff. So, it added an extra layer of spatial awareness. So, hey, I'm fighting Geralt. I'm fighting Darth Vader as Astaroth, this demon. But he only has short range.
Right.
Does crazy damage, but only has short range. maybe I will get in front of him. I'm going to drop a few axe swings, get him to back up a little bit, and maybe I can get him into a corner where I can get him off the map.
Right.
And I think that Soul Calibur really added enough for me that people who had the level up on skill, they could outfight me. I might pick someone like Bustamante, who is a little more agile, get them to a wall, roll behind them, and try to knock them off the ledge, play the cheap game.
Yeah.
So, I think whenever you look at the Mortal Kombat's, Tekken's, you look at the, I need to outbox you. Soul Calibur was the first time where I felt that I could outthink you. Let me pick a character that just doesn't play well with your character. It really makes you overextend, and I'll punish you.
I like how you described this, because now that I'm thinking about it, it almost felt like you were sumo wrestling with the person. The moment you're out of the ring, that's kind of it. So just like how you were mentioning, picking a character that's a little bit more agile, you're forcing me towards this corner, and it looks like I'm at a disadvantage, but I'm going to flip over. Now this is your disadvantage. So I think that's really cool, and that is pretty unique. It's not in, I believe, most of the games that we just mentioned, besides probably like Super Smash Bros, of course, knocking someone off the edge.
And where I would say that Super Smash Brothers and, this game differentiated, Super Smash Brothers is still 2D.
Yeah,
You're
that's
still
true.
going on this platform. Soul Calibur is a 3D. Like, I can move and go in any direction, and there is a ledge in every direction.
Yeah.
I would say the perspective of a mid shot being so close feels a lot more intimate than Smash Brothers, but I would tell you I don't love any character in Soul Calibur as much as I love almost any character in Smash Brothers.
Right.
So whenever you look at like character investment, there's some really cool looking characters. There's some really cool fighting styles. There's people that I'll be attracted to because I want to fight that way, not because I want to be that person. Where Smash Brothers, I'm going to pick Ike or Marth, or I'm going to pick Pikachu because I'm in love with that character, and maybe I just want more time with them because I don't play, Fire Emblem. I don't play Pokemon all the time, but maybe whenever I get on Smash for that hour, I'll get a little time with my buddy,
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
Now, before we get too far off the beaten path, I don't want to do an injustice to injustice. So, tell me, please, where does that game fall in this plethora of games we have?
That's a good question. I think it falls in between Mortal Kombat, just a touch of it, and I think it leans a little bit towards Smash, but not in your traditional sense of like how it plays, but really just being able to access characters that you've always known. I think that's the part of it. To kind of talk about Injustice a little bit, it was a really unique game. They did put a lot of effort into it, and the storyline was really good. I think the storyline was what really made it. It was something that I definitely wanted to play. And I normally don't play too many fighting games. So to kind of give like an intro to it, the Joker steals Lois Lane, that's currently pregnant, and he potentially like makes it where Superman hallucinates. He hallucinates, accidentally takes her life and the child to come, and afterwards Superman loses it. And there's also a nuke that goes off by the Joker. I think the Joker was really unhinged on this. But Superman goes, he kills the Joker, and then he switches up. He becomes a whole different person. And all of a sudden you have it where the Injustice League is kind of like divided down the middle of some people support the zero tolerance that he has now, where he's just like, you're a problem, I'm taking your life. And others don't side with it. For example, Batman. You always know he's on the other side.
Surprise. Martha, why did you say that name?
So
that's not in the game, for the record. Just so I don't drive away hordes of people.
It's definitely not in the game, people. Definitely not in the game. But that's the story piece to it. And you have it where as you go along, there's villains that kind of side with Batman. There's
Deathstroke.
Yeah.
My boy.
Mm-hmm. He's mean in it. He's definitely mean.
Slade has always been mean, but
Yeah.
he is logic. He is logic. He will
For
cut off
sure.
that leg if I need to live, and I respect it.
Very good. And I think that's a kind of like a nice way to tie in the storyline. The playing the game itself, the two things that were really fun were the close to like super ending moves and also knocking someone into a different area. I know Mortal Kombat has that same element, and I think they did it a really good job inside of Injustice, only because when you got knocked into a different area, you got like multiple cutscenes. So if I remember correctly, when you do it in Mortal Kombat, it's normally like somewhat of a quick scene and then you're within the next area. This one, it was really like, oh, you got hit by this, you land on this bridge, all of a sudden there's a truck, the truck hits you, you go flying off the free ramp, you land on this side, and then also you're in this new scene. So it really shows how much damage you're taking, which I thought was always really cool. But also getting to see the closest thing you could possibly see when it comes to like DC becoming like a Mortal Kombat, this was it. They never had it where it was like a kill blow, even though there were kills in the storyline. One thing that I definitely liked were like the finishing ends, like for example Flash running all the way around to give you a punch, or Superman bringing you all the way to orbit and then slamming you down like back on Earth. So there was definitely some really cool ending moves, and I think that's the part that was so enjoyable about the game.
I really enjoyed the combos. I
Yeah.
thought the combo fighting was really gracious,
Okay.
in the sense of you didn't have to be like absolutely perfect to knock, like button smashing. Let me go back. I think the game was really gracious because the button sequencing didn't make you have to be exactly one for one.
Yeah.
So Robin, for example, was one of my favorite people to play with.
Okay.
You could land a lot of hand-to-hand combos, land an uppercut, and if you missed your next punch or kick, you had a grapple hook that you could shoot them and pull them back down.
Nice.
So it was like, you knew if you missed one combo, you could kind of save it with another combo.
Right.
I really appreciated Injustice because I felt like every character felt true to their comic book self.
I can see that, and I can really appreciate that. I remember playing as Joker, and he has such a like swift but aggressiveness to him.
The hammer,
Yeah, it
big
is
old
just
mallet he pulls
the
out.
way he moves is like it. You can really picture. Okay, that's if he were attacking, I can see that's how he's doing it. So I like that. That's a very nice touch.
So we're sending someone to play Injustice.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first character they should play?
Injustice, I feel like you can't go wrong with Batman, only because his kit feels very welcoming. Even like getting to see the Batmobile kind of come out. I would want to say the Flash as well. I think the Flash is really easy to kind of start off with. Now, again, this is coming from someone that isn't good at most fighting games, I will say. Like, Brawl is probably the biggest one I'll get my money run for, you know? But I would say, as someone that definitely has it where I've been a button masher for a long time, this was probably like Flash, and I want to say Batman definitely started me off pretty well on that game.
Well, you heard it here, folks. If you're going to play Injustice, jump into the Flash or jump in with Batman. Maybe you won't get the bricks beaten off you immediately.
Maybe.
But
It's
if you
not
do, you're
guaranteed.
at least going to look like who you look like. I think today has really been a good summation of just dipping your toes in the fighting game pool.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about Tekken, we've talked about Virtua Fighter, we've talked about multiple Mortal Kombats, we've talked about Soul Calibur, we've talked about multiple Smash Brothers, Power Stone. You know, we didn't even get into the depths with, you know, Street Fighter,
Right.
King of Fighters, UFC Fight Night,
Yeah.
wrestling games. There are a ton of wrestling games. So I think really when you look at fighting games, why don't you start somewhere where you're comfortable?
Mm.
I started with Tekken.
Yeah.
Simple, easy barrier of entry. You just have to be able to smash buttons. and read combos. Not something that is rocket science, but absolutely takes skill to be able to compete with those uncles or friends or people who take the game serious.
Right, exactly.
When you look at the Mortal Kombats, I think, those are games that are intended to be more fun. Those are games that are intended for you to be able to sit down with cousins, family members, whoever's winning, everyone's having a good laugh.
Yeah.
You're losing, you're not the butt of the joke because you're getting a fatality put on you, and it's actually hilarious. So, Mortal Kombat had its own zone. Smash Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Smash Brothers is the king. I think it has every aspect of it. It's got the goofy, fun competitiveness. You add in items. It's wacky. You've got these crazy levels.
It's inviting.
It's super inviting.
Super inviting.
Colorful.
It's characters
music you love.
Yeah.
I just think Smash is that game that if you're looking for something fun and something for everybody, it exists.
Yeah.
Guess what? If you're looking for that super, super competitive platformer, King of Fighters, Street Fighter, those games exist. So this is not, hey, Cliff and Matt telling you these are the best fighting games. These are the fighting games that we've been exposed to in our life.
Right.
I want to hear why you like King of Fighters. I want to hear why you love Street Fighter and why it's the best game.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, in my 34 years, I've had exposure to a lot of games. There's been even more that I've not experienced that I want to experience the way that you have.
Yeah.
I think this is why Cliff and I sit down and we talk about games so passionately, because we want to find games that we love as much as the games we already love.
Yeah, it's true. And I think there's a lot of games along the way that we both see appreciation for that we didn't even realize. Hopefully you guys take the time, definitely find something that fits you. If it's a friendly game, if it's something nice and light, or if you want something serious right off the bat, we talked about it today.
And I'm going to give you a little homework. I would tell you, fighting game, try it out. It's a little different. It's called Marvel Ultimate Alliance. You could do Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. You can play whichever one you can get your hands on. But when we talk about just fun, getting your hands on something new, kind of not having to think and being able to button mash, I think it's a great fit. I think it's a game that has a lot of characters behind it that you can fall in love with if you've ever played a Marvel game. And honestly, I think at this point it's probably on PlayStation Pass for free. So
probably is.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance, check it out. That's the homework I got for you today. Please reach out to me and Cliff. Give us homework. We'll play some games that you love.
We'll check it out.
But I think for today and for the Fighting Podcast, that's going to be it. If you want to reach out to us and you want to talk to us about your favorite games, reach out to us at thelegendofgamingpodcast.com or reach out to us on our socials, The Legend of Gaming Podcast on X, Facebook, Spotify, all the socials. But for today, this is Matt.
And you got Cliff.
And we're signing out.
Peace.